Oh, it's another Maryam. That's confusing. Sorry, I didn't realise that. Um, okay, so I think what we're talking about here is the naturalistic performances that Steve McQueen obtained from his actors. Can we put a bit of theory in here from our emotional response? Could you drop a scene in with a bit of plantinga or...
Yeah.
You know, I mean, one of the things you'd say about the film, that the beating scene, the whipping scene, is something that everybody knew about once the film had come out, but also it's something that you would expect and dread if you went to a film about slavery. You would think, this is going to happen at some point. And that could be an example of criterial pre-focusing. You know, like, this is a film which is going to have something in this, and what the director is doing is judging the time when it's right to bring something in there. So it might be good to just... You'll have this in your emotional response stuff. So this bit on Noel Carroll, what he says is the process by which filmmakers foreground certain narrative so they'll fit into familiar schemas. So he's saying often filmmakers pre-focus you to get you ready for something, and this is a really brutal example of this, because Steve McQueen takes us there and you kind of think, surely not, but you know it's going to happen, don't you? Okay, so you could put a bit of that in there maybe.
Yeah, I need to write about this one.
Okay. Now, are you going to show a clip here?
I think I do. I want to add more meat, and now that we've gone through it, there's a lot that I want to add.
What I'm not seeing is item 1, item 2, item 3. So here, this should be item 1 in square brackets.
Okay.
And this video, yes, you've got it here, but again, it should be in square brackets in bold. Yeah. And I wouldn't say this video here. I would say...
Just item.
Well, I would say the interview with Andre Robert Lee, item 8, illustrates the difference. Yeah? And it's this weird thing, as if you're doing the presentation, although you're not doing it. That's what's annoying about it. Okay, now I think that's a bit too obvious to put in there. So I would say a problematic area, particularly for black audiences, is when a white director chooses to cover the idea of... It's not called Django, is it? It's called Django Unchained.
Okay,
So you have to give the right... you don't say it's the famous film, you just say Django Unchained. We know it's directed by Quentin Tarantino because you've told us at the top. So Django Unchained, you don't need any of this, is Tarantino's approach to the sensitive topic of slavery. And here, yes, I think you need to define a little bit of what Tarantino's style is. So you need to do a bit of research. Yes, it's comedic, but also it's violent.
Yeah.
It's very stylish. It's
almost like black humor.
Yeah, and I think that there needs to be a bit on the Tarantino style there. Is portrayed. Yeah, so he He's clearly the protagonist of the film. He's supported by a white sidekick, the Christopher Waltz character.
His character was kind of like breaking boundaries of what you actually expect. Like you think, oh, he's being controlled by someone else, whatever. But actually, the power is being given to him. Like he was being taught all this stuff, and he did look like an alpha male.
Yeah, but that's part of the kind of
Tarantino style.
Yeah, just sort of reinventing it and saying, okay, this would never have happened.
Yeah,
he would have been shot within about.
Because I saw this like interview with like Quentin Tarantino, and he was like, he doesn't really care what people expect of like these kind of conventions, like typical conventions. He says he wants to break these boundaries and make people see that this can happen. Like some people can play these parts and stuff. And he was like, he doesn't really care about like the backlash or whatever. He makes films like because he loves making films.
Yeah, I think you should have something along that in here. Yeah. What are his reasons for this?
Yeah.
That should be item 8 or whatever Tarantino has said about this.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. I think
because that caused a lot of controversy with the film, and people were like, "Oh,
yeah." I don't think you can say he's given the role of a pet. I think it's quite a complicated position that his character plays in the film, in that he is so embedded, with the slavery system that he's almost lost his identity as a black man, I would say, and maybe a little bit of analysis on that, and I bet there is a lot written about it, which we will find out about now. See, Sight and Sound is quite a good place to go for reviews because they're very analytical about what they say. Okay, but it doesn't give us much help on Samuel Jackson.
Stefan.
Yeah. So that is really useful to you. Okay. So Uncle Tom figure means exactly what we're talking about. Someone is from the book Uncle Tom's Cabin, and it's about someone who's like a collaborator in his own slavery.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten that he uses the N-word all the time. But he's, if you can use a quote like this, Stephen is a pétain in the below-stairs Vichyite regime, propping up the ruler's loathsome racism, which is exactly what you've just said, which is like he's supporting that. But if you can quote like this from a review like this, I'm going to be able to up the mark. So have a look at the Guardian review by Peter Bradshaw and see if there's anything useful in the Sight and Sound review as well.